The purpose of this recording is to demonstrate the steps to do the e-signature approval of the master TAS process from a product manager's perspective.
So when you first come to data, you'll need to go to the approvals tab up the top of the screen. I'm going to create a new approval request. So my information will already be, data will already know who I am, and what I'm going to do now is select my skills point. So you'll need to choose your skills point. For this demonstration purposes, we're going to use ETG, and please, anytime you want to test the system, use ETG as well for testing. So I'm going to select ETG. Next thing I need to do is actually select the schema I want. In this case, it's the MTAS schema. Now I'm going to assign people to the different roles. In this case, I'm going to assign myself because I'm the product manager. So I'll just find myself in the system. There I am, and I'm going to assign Marcus as the senior manager PDS for this scenario, and I'll assign myself again as the head of skills point in this case. So I'll just assign those users to the role. You don't have to put all the name in. As soon as you start to put some of the name in and do search, you'll find that it'll come up. What I'm going to do now is add the resource ID. So the resource ID for this example is this. If you have any trouble with knowing what to name your document, there's a naming convention there, but Marcus might make a comment around the document itself.
Yep, so the resource ID is generally in the footer of the master TAS, so hopefully you've already assigned a resource ID, but when you get to the approval step, it's really important to make sure that your master TAS has the correct file name, the correct resource ID, and the correct versioning, so refer to that product naming convention.
Okay, thank you. Now I've put all the required information in. I'm going to now upload the MTAS document that I need for this workflow. For this example, I've got a version 1 here, so I'm just going to upload that document, and we'll now see there's the full details of the information of the people assigned to the workflow, the additional comments that I made, and that's the actual document for the workflow. So I'm going to submit approval request. What will happen in the background, I'll get the message that successfully added 3 approvers. In this case, it's myself and Marcus. In the background, I'll receive an email that'll let me know that I'm the product manager, and here it comes up now. I'll just show that email. So that's just popped up in the background in the meantime, and it's telling me that there's a master TAS. It's been initiated by myself, and it's ready for review. If I was to right-click on that document and copy the hyperlink, I could then paste that into the Chrome or the Safari or the Firefox browsers to view. It's better to use these browsers. Don't just click on it in Outlook because it'll open the IE and you may experience some issues. So I would click on the link or paste it into the browser and then come basically to this location. I'll just go back to the approvals so that we can see that now I've got, as well as approval requests, I've also got a pending approval requiring my action, because in this case I am the product manager. So the next time I logged in, any approvals that are waiting for my attention will be in this top list. So I'm just going to go to the process request, and I can see that it's in step 1 and it's pending approval. And what I'll do now is make a comment to Marcus. I'll say, hi, Marcus, please review this MTAS for qual XYZ, whatever it is. And if I needed to add any additional information, I could browse and add some more information if it was necessary for Marcus to look at as part of the plan. Might be industry consultation or whatever. But in this case, because I am the person who's started the product manager, who started the process, I'm just going to approve this, and I'm going to process the request, and I can see that an email has gone to Marcus. So Marcus will get an email shortly. I can see now in the workflow that it's pending approval for Marcus. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to ask Marcus to share his, and in this case decline the the approval so that we can see how I can replace the document.
Senior Manager of PDS will receive an email as well, notifying them that you, the product manager, have submitted a master TAS for review by the PDS group. Senior Manager of PDS would once again come into the system, and this would be the view that the PDS manager would see.
The way it would work is the manager would open the document, would click on the link for the document to be reviewed and open the document. And the scenario we'll choose at this point for the demonstration is that the manager looks at the document and finds missing information or something that's not quite right around the TAS. So in this scenario, Marcus is going to decline the approval process and then let me know why that might be.
Yep, so usually we put some comments in using the review system. I just make some comments here just for the demonstration quickly. Please specify electives are from to me. All right, and I will just say, sorry, cannot approve, please see MTAS review comments. And it's not approved.
Thank you, Marcus. I'll share my screen in a moment. I'll receive an email any moment from Marcus letting me know that that the MTAS has not been approved. And yes, I've received an email from Marcus now. In this case, you'll notice there's a red line around the email, which lets me know that I can tell straight away that this has not been approved, and it tells me that the TAS has been unsuccessful. I can again right-click and copy the URL. I'm already in the interface, so I'll just go back to the approvals, and I'll have a look at the request, and I can see, just before I go any further, I can see straight away that the approval status is no, and the status is on hold. So whenever I come into the system, I can always tell that anything that's on hold or approval no means that there's an issue. So that's a bit of a heads up. But I did receive the email that told me there was an issue. So I'll go and have a look at what's going on, and I can see the request has been rejected, and it says see the history table. So if I look down below, I can see that the Marcus had rejected, not approved it, and he'll say, sorry, I can't approve, please see the comments. So I would open the document, and I'd have a look at whatever comments Marcus had made, which was down a few pages, wherever it was. So you'd review the comments and then make adjustments to the TAS as required. So I'd review Marcus' comments, I'd have a conversation, whatever needed to happen, and then now I need to restart the workflow with a new updated TAS. That's the original TAS that I started with. Now I'm going to, as I've made the adjustment to the TAS after talking to Marcus and whatever else I had to do, I'm going to now put up the new version. So I'm going to go to version 2 now of the TAS. So I'll find my new updated version. First of all, I've got to reassign the people. The reason you have to do this is because in the meantime, it may be that Marcus has gone on leave or somebody else is acting for Marcus. So you just need to, each time you do an approval process, just reassign the people. I'm going to reassign Marcus to the role. I'll just search for him. There he is. And I'll put myself in again as the final at a skills point. Yeah, so that's just to cover the scenario of people being on leave, and I'm going to submit that request. Now, what will happen as I'm the product manager? The workflow will come back to me initially first, so I'll just need to now reapprove it. So you can see the workflow has gone to step 4, and it's basically come back to me as a product manager. And I'll just go, hi Marcus, I have updated the MTAS per our oops, as per our conversation. I could attach any additional information I needed to, but in this case, what I'm going to do is send it off to approve for Marcus. Just before I do that, I just want to show you the history of the documents. This was the original document that I'd submitted to Marcus for the first round, and when Marcus had not approved it, I've now uploaded a second document, which is this document here. So I'm going to approve the request because I've attached my new document. I'm going to send off that request to Marcus. Okay, Marcus, I'm going to stop sharing my screen again because Marcus will receive an email and he can take over and re-review the MTAS.
So you, as the product manager, have submitted your corrected master TAS back to PDS. The senior manager of PDS will review the submission again with your changes. Once again, remember, whenever you have to access the document, you need to right-click and copy the link. Okay, so this would be the review that the senior manager of PDS would get. They would see that you've made changes, so they would review your revised master TAS document, and they would find everything's finished and looks good. So I'll just say, well done, Dave. Thanks for the changes. Well, now approve. Okay, so I'm just going to approve it because you've made the changes requested. And now both you as product manager and your head of skills point should also receive a notification. We'll turn it back over to Dave to be the head of skills point.
Yeah, thank you, Marcus. So Marcus is now, as the senior manager of PDS, approved my updates, and in the meantime, I've received an email, which is this email that I've just shown out. Yep. So I can see now that the MTAS has been assigned to me for approval. I would right-click on and copy the URL, and that would lead me to this page. In this scenario, I'll just go back and show where it would come in. It would come into here in approvals, pending approvals requiring my attention. If I look at that, I can see the history of the document now. Just to have a brief look. So as the head of skills point, I could look at and see how many iterations, if I needed to, of the document occurred, and so I'd be able to go back and have a look at the changes, and down here I could look at any of the information that Marcus had provided at that point about why it wasn't approved. So I can see the complete history of the MTAS document. But it's now at the stage in this scenario. It's at step 6 that it's come to me as a head of skills point. I would open and review the document, have one last final look. So I just open it, look at it. When I was happy with the document, if I'm happy, I can then finally approve the process. So I'm going to go, hi David, because David, the message will go back to the project manager now. Hi David, good job. I can approve the MTAS. So whatever message was appropriate. And again, if the head of skills point need to add any additional information, they could attach any other documentation they wanted to. Dave will get that back. So we're through the process now. I'm going to process the request, and when that completes, we'll see a pop-up message telling me there it is, that's been sent back to David Gilchrist as the project manager. So now I just refresh my screen, and we can see that now the MTAS is at the status called complete. That means that it's been through however many steps it's been through, and it was not approved at one time, but now it is complete. So if I go back to the approvals and we look at the status here, we'll notice that currently there's one approval that's pending, so there's something waiting to be done. But this particular MTAS now is at the status called complete. I can see by looking at the request that it took 6 steps to do that because there was a not approved. It could happen any number of steps that are required to approve it, but the final outcome is that we now have the MTAS document, this document, that we can now put back onto our transfer folder on our SharePoint. So the product manager would get the document from this workflow, because remember that there could be a number of documents. We just need to get the last document in the workflow. That's the one that needs to go onto the transfer folder on the SharePoint and into a color. I've also got a message saying that it's been successful, so the whole workflow is now completed.
Yep, so as Dave said, at this point you would just process the master TAS as you were normally doing if you've already done one before. If not, the procedure is this would go into your transfer folder and you would add on the master TAS detail to your metadata submission form. And when you've got the master TAS completed, your industry engagement records and any other artifacts, they would all go into your transfer folder. They would all be listed in your metadata form, and then you would submit all of those together to the Learning Bank. Do recall that once it goes to the Learning Bank, it's not automatically appear and available yet for the organization. It has to go through an approval process by the Learning Bank officers before it will become available to the organization in the Learning Bank.
Okay, thank you, Max. Just for a final review, I'll just go back to the Approvals tab now. So we can imagine that I've just come into the system. If there were any approvals that had been assigned to me from somebody else, I would have another lineup, any requests that I need to confirm. So that there would be another box there, and I would be able to go to those approvals. I will also have a list of all my approvals. There's a few filters I just want to talk about very quickly. If I want to search, I can either search for all approvals, or I can search for status of approvals, so any approvals that are complete, for example. There's only one in this scenario, or any other state. On hold, the on hold is really important, because any approvals that are on hold means that there's something going on, that they need something to be completed. And also, obviously, pending, so I know that there's one pending. The other thing, I can search from my skills point, so you'll be able to search from your skills point as well.